Okay, this is using Excel to solve a model. We're going to use the first model that we created, a maximum profit with product 1 and product 2. Here's our model over here in this right-hand section, and we're going to use Excel to solve it now. The first thing you have to do is set up a blank cell for X1 and X2. Now, I'm going to write product 1 and product 2, or type, in cells A6 and A7. Now, those are not going to be the decision variables. The decision variables need to be 2 blank cells. So I'm just going to put a box around them. You don't have to do that, but our decision variables are B6 and B7. That's what we have to solve for. Okay? Now I'm going to put in our profit, and I'm going to type profit in A9 just to let me know that this is going to be my profit cell. So profit is 20 times X1 plus 30 times X2. So I type equals 20 times. Now I can just click B6 plus 30 times. I click B7. So equals 20 times B6 plus 30 times B7 is going to be our profit function. Okay, now hit return, and that will give you a 0 because nothing's in B6 and B7. Okay, now our last thing to put in are constraints. I'm going to label A1 with labor to let me know this line is my labor constraint. Okay, anytime you type a formula, you start with equals. So this is 1 times B6 is X1 plus 2 times B7 is X2. Now hit return. In C, we're going to put the right side of the inequality. So we're going to put 14. Okay, back to A2, we're going to put in a label just to let us know this is our cloth yards constraint. Our formula is 4x1 plus 3x2, so equals 4 times x1, oops, not x1, 4 times click B6 plus 3 times click B7, hit return, and 36 is the right side of that constraint. Okay. We do have that our x1 and x2 have to be greater than or equal to 0. That will go in a different place. Okay, now what if you want to see what's in a cell? If you just click a cell, if you look up here, it tells you what you've typed in. You can also see all of them at one time if you'll hit Control and the tilde. The tilde is up at the top left. It's like a little squiggly that's up there to the left by the numbers, okay? And you just hit Control tilde again to go back. All right, X1 and X2, remember, are these blank cells where our decision variables are. Okay, now we have to put in an add-in. So you're going to click these tools up here at the very top, Excel add-ins, and you want to make sure solver has a check mark and click OK. All right, now we go to tell Excel to solve it. Okay, if you use the same computer every time, the tools should stay, okay? But to get the solver, it's tools, Excel add-ins, and we want solver. Okay, so now we're going to click data, okay? Not this data up at the top, data in this row right here, okay? We want on this far right solver. Okay, set objective is where we put the profit equation. Okay, so I'm just going to delete that and click B9. All right. We want to maximize it, so that's fine. Okay, now changing variable cells are your decision variables. So I'm going to click in the box and I'm going to drag and highlight B6 and B7. Okay, drag and highlight B6 and B7. Now, subject to the constraints, so I click add. Okay, one constraint is that B6 needs to be less than or equal to, click in the box, C1. Okay, B1 needs to be less than or equal to C1. I'm not sure what I said right there. Okay, our constraints, let me just start over. Okay, let's cancel. Okay, constraint, add. Our labor constraint, B1, needs to be less than or equal to, click in the box, C1. Now we have another one, so we want to click add. B2 is less than or equal to, click in the box, C2. We need to put in that the decision variables are greater than or equal to 0, so I'm going to click add. Now the decision variables are B6 and B7, so click, drag B6, B7, change our box, our drop down box, to greater than or equal to, type 0. We're done with constraints, so click OK. Okay, so in your objective, you should have B9 by changing variables B6 and B7. We're maximizing. Okay, make sure you have max right there. B1 is less than or equal to C1 is our labor. B2 less than or equal to C2 is our cloth. And B6 and B7 is that our decision variables are greater than or equal to 0. Okay? Now you can just leave that stuff as is and click solve. Okay? And you'll see that it filled in our boxes. What does this mean? We need to make 6 of X1, 4 of X2, and our profit is 240. And that is how to solve with Excel. And this is using a Mac. Okay, there's a separate video for Windows.